Humans have been managing honeybees for millennia, and I've lived in New York my entire adult life, and as long as I can remember, there's been a not-so-secret society of rooftop beekeepers selling honey at the green markets. I also figured that if it was important enough for the Obamas to install a hive on the South Lawn in the first 100 days, and safe enough to invite a bunch of elementary school kids to dig up the garden next to it, it was good enough for me. More than anything, receiving this summons and not being able to continue managing my hive is a huge disappointment. In only 10 weeks, these bees have had a big impact on my life and my other neighbors' lives. I planted a vegetable garden for the first time, and I stopped pulling dandelions out of my yard and started mowing around the clover. I stopped wearing perfume because they like it too much. I kept a copy of Beekeepers for Dummies on my bedside table, and I designed labels for honey in my imagination. Like a lot of new beekeepers, I was pretty enthralled. So with any luck, I'm hoping next year I'll be able to bring my hive back inside the city limits and start again. So thanks very much.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Deborah Greiger, and the interesting thing is that Deborah actually means bee in Hebrew, so it's interesting we have two Deborahs.
Deborah
Greiger, G-R-E-I-G. And I'm the urban agriculture coordinator at an organization called East New York Farms, which is in East New York, Brooklyn. For over 10 years, we've worked with neighborhood residents to improve that community's capacity to provide fresh, nutritious, safe, affordable food where traditional market forces have failed and left the neighborhood full of nutrition-related illnesses like diabetes. We work with 30 adult urban farmers, 25 youth leaders, and 3 upstate farmers to manage what, to our knowledge, is one of the biggest farmers markets in a solidly low-income community. When talking to people about what we do, I normally focus on our youth program and our gardener assistance program and our farmers market, which is one of the only markets that's serving 180,000 people in that community. And I highlight the ways that a customer comes through our market and every step of the way touches food that is cared for by the people in that community. But today, I'm excited to give all of that credit to the honeybees. Without honeybees, we wouldn't be able to do any of the work that we do. They have without a doubt touched every aspect of food production, financial viability, and community education at East New York Farms. Without the incredible work of these pollinators, very little of our 14,000 pounds of food that our gardeners and youth grew in Brooklyn last season would have been possible. The bees shimmy through squash blossoms and tomato blossoms, and in our neighborhood they get to experience some of the Caribbean crops and South Asian crops that we grow. They get to bounce around on bitter melon and long beans, Corilla, Scotch bonnet pepper blossoms, and with their help these blossoms swell into fruit that we sell at our market. Many of the gardens we work with have expressed interest in our beekeeping training program, where we teach people about keeping bees in the city. They're interested in keeping bees in their own backyard to contribute to the $20,000 worth of produce that Brooklyn gardeners grew for our market last season. But they're also interested in the added economic incentive of selling honey and bee products. People come through our market all the time asking for locally grown honey to help with their allergies and add some natural sweetener and local sweetener to their life. It would incredibly, astronomically improve the income level of the gardeners we work with, and probably be one of the ultimate green jobs. Bees have also lent themselves, lastly, to the educational work that we do. We've had over 300 volunteers, children, adults, and youth in the last 2 months come through our garden, and we teach them about the ways that bees affect the produce that we grow and the ways that nature can work together with people to create food access in a community that's otherwise underserved. Taking care of bees is an incredibly humbling experience, and when you see the innumerable contributions that bees have made to the work that we do, I can only say that I have a huge commitment to the legalization of beekeeping, and we want to add the bees to the list of supporters for the local food movement and food access movement in New York City. They've provided unbelievable help for food production, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability in our community. So thank you. Thank you, bees.
Well done.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Why is beekeeping bad in the city?
For years, beekeeping was perfectly legal in the city. When Mayor Giuliani was mayor, they amended the health code Yeah, if he recommended, it must be a good idea, right? They amended the health code to prohibit keeping a number of animals, including ferrets. That seemed to be the one that the mayor was the most exercised about. And at the same time they did that, they also prohibited the keeping of bees. I really can't get a great answer as to what prompted doing that. Somebody at the health department thought it was a good idea. Now they are looking at it, as we said. My hope is that when they give it a serious look, they'll realize that was a mistake. We should allow these folks to help the rest of us by creating some locally grown organic honey.
Councilman, why hasn't the bee bill come to a vote yet?
Well, you know, look, we've had a busy time here in the council. We just passed the budget on Friday. I don't, take anything away from all the work that the Health Committee has done on a whole bunch of topics. My hope is that now we'll be able to move to this bill. And, again, I encourage you I encourage everybody here to push for speedy action on this bill.
How popular do you think this idea is among New Yorkers?
Well, I think there's a movement afoot that's going to recreate the ecology of New York. And almost every day when we talk about rooftop gardens, growing vegetables, farmers markets, especially in communities where there's food deserts, not food deserts, food deserts where people can't get access to healthy food. The sustainability movement now comes to other areas like bees, like the production of honey, like helping our ecology and grow more plants. So this is becoming not just popular, but it's actually becoming a health necessity for a city that wants to reduce diabetes and other illnesses. But you can't talk about sustainability if you're not going to look at every single law and say we're not in the early 1900s, we're now in 2010. I think what Councilman Yassky is starting to do is look at antiquated laws and policies of old that didn't really have any health implications, and by passing legislation that's freeing the bees and creating this new market and legitimizing what people know will help New Yorkers, that's very popular, and that matters in the time we live in right now.
David, what do you tell people who are allergic, children might be allergic, about fear of being stung by a bee or possibly being stung by a bee? Because this fear is very dangerous, even if it's remote.
The percentage of people in New York City who are allergic to bees is much, much, much smaller than the percentage of people in New York City that are allergic to peanuts. So it's a very, very small fraction of the population that's allergic to bees. And then the honeybees are the least likely to actually sting you. A lot of times people will get honeybees confused with wasps or with hornets or other insects that are attracted to the smell of meat or people. Honeybees, unless you go up and kick their hive, they're really not interested in people. When you see them out on flowers, their sole purpose is foraging, and for them a sting is a suicide mission. They do not survive it, so it's really a last-ditch effort for a honeybee. So the chance of people getting stung by bees is very, very small. I know a lot of beekeepers who are allergic to bees, and they know how to take the precautions. And
if beekeeping is done properly, it's a safe activity. That's why our bill doesn't simply eliminate the prohibition. It doesn't legalize it with no restrictions. It requires a license. It says you go to the health department, you take a test that shows you know what you're doing, then you get a license, and then you can keep bees.
And how to have insurance. You have the horse carriages required to have insurance. So shouldn't beekeepers have insurance as well?
No, it doesn't require that. Look, the tort system already protects people who through their the tort system already says if you're negligent in your keeping of any animal and you harm someone, there's tort laws that apply to that.
What kind of support is there for your bill in the council, and how does the mayor feel about beekeeping?
As the borough president said, as people learn about this, for many people, their first reaction, understandably, is that sounds like something I'm not so sure about. As they learn about it, they get comfortable with it. That's why we need a hearing on this bill, so that we can educate council members and the broader public. And I'm sure that as council members learn about this issue, they'll support the bill.
All right. Anything else here?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.